YouTube is a very volatile job where anything could change at any moment and cause you more problems. Like, the guidelines can change overnight without a warning, and your channel could be adversely affected as a result, or your videos that you released years in the past could be punished based on the new guidelines, not the old ones, and that content could be taken down as a result, resulting in your channel receiving a strike, losing monetization, or any other various punishment that should never be expected. It's happened in the past where content has even been released not to the public, but to a strict group of private people, and YouTube has taken it down years into the future despite no one ever even being able to see it in the first place. And it seems to be an issue that's going to continue in the future, as YouTube's support is incredibly unhelpful at resolving any problems you have. I notice very often I make a live chat message to YouTube where I explain my whole issue, and I've had it happen before where I've explained that a video was falsely age restricted. They say there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. I post a tweet and about 30 minutes later they're like, yeah, we've looked into it, you're completely innocent, we've removed the strike, which makes no sense why the live chat is even there in the first place. But the issue is when YouTube's team on Twitter doesn't help you either, and that seems to be an issue that Memeology, a content creator that does news and critique videos, has seen recently, because their whole channel is now about to be deleted off of the platform of YouTube with absolutely no warning or no explanation at all. I'd argue this whole takedown is completely unjustified and YouTube should look further into it, and I'll explain why as we continue through the video. But before I begin, if you'd like to go on Twitter and use the hashtag on screen to support Memeology and tag YouTube as well, please do make sure that YouTube is aware of this issue and actually looks into it properly so someone doesn't lose their job over a punishment they shouldn't even be receiving. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel or haven't already, I'm going to keep this intro short, but if you could consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm aiming for 50k by the end of the year. The fact we're only 4.8k away as recording this video right now is bonkers as is, but if you could help me get there any sooner, that would be highly appreciated. And also feel free to check out my Twitter down below if you'd like to support me there, or maybe you could check out my Discord if you'd like to join my community and have a conversation with me, and hopefully we can get it partnered very soon. With that being said, let's get right into it. This situation rightfully exploded on Twitter when Memeology released a tweet saying, "Based, thanks Team YouTube," with an email that they'd received saying your channel will be disabled in 7 days, and they attached a link to one of their copyright striked videos showing the clip on other platforms, giving justification of why they used it for news reasons. I won't share the name of this tweet here because it's critical of a politician, and my videos aren't political as is, so I don't want to see people debating that down below, but if you go to Memeology's Twitter, you'll see the post. I'd argue if Memeology's clip that they were showing has been used by other news sources without punishment, it seems unfair for Memeology to receive that punishment. However, I will explain later why exactly this strike was absolutely ridiculous. 2 days later, Memeology posts, "It's official, the channel is dead unless YouTube intervenes," and they say, "Hey Team YouTube, this strike from May the 7th already expired. The expiration date even disappeared already in the dashboard, and yet the strike won't go, blocking me from uploading." If this is the case, it seems ridiculous that Memeology is being punished on their channel and may possibly lose their channel over a strike that's already expired because the YouTube has done a terrible job as is of even acting upon their punishments in the way they're supposed to be enacted upon. This seems like a bug, but YouTube's response spits in the face of Memeology and absolutely highlights the big issue with the platform, as they respond by saying, "Thanks for reaching out. If your channel received 3 strikes within a 90-day period, it will be subject to termination. You can seek a retraction or access counter notification form if you're sure this is done in error." Why would they not look into this themselves, especially when it's been shown that one of those strikes had already expired? I really don't understand that. But further on that point, why is YouTube acting upon the channel without looking into the strikes when they highlight the clear issue and show clips showing that the strike is invalid and should not be taking place? It's almost as if YouTube doesn't actually care about helping Memeology, or doesn't care to spend the time to save a channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers because they're not one of the biggest earners on YouTube. It's almost unfair that certain channels don't get actual help from YouTube and have to rely on their Twitter support because they aren't a big dollar maker or a partner of YouTube or a channel YouTube necessarily wants representing them. It seems unfair. I'd like to backtrack here and explain a little bit more about Memeology's channel, because Memeology is a content creator who creates content critical of multiple political parties, of people in general, and makes news report type content with memes and satirical focus. And while those videos do have satirical focus, they do have important messages that Memeology wants to present within them, and all of this content should be considered fair use, as if I was to look through fair use laws on YouTube's fair use website, they cite fair use as criticism, review, quotation, parody, caricature, and pastiche. Memeology's content, which is both very clearly critical and parody of these people, would fall under fair use. Expanding upon that, I went through YouTube's more in-depth fair use guidelines, And there's even more guidelines that very clearly defend Memeology's content, so it makes no sense that YouTube would unfairly take down their content. YouTube cites the 4 factors of fair use in the United States, and the first of which say if it adds new expression or meaning to the original material, the content should fall under fair use, which I'd argue Memeology's content does, as it's different clips that criticize or parody multiple different people, and as such it would be fair dealing. In the third fair use rule, borrowing small bits of material from an original work is more likely to be considered fair use, unless what's borrowed is considered the heart of the work, which I'd argue it isn't. Memeology's content was very clearly small clips from different points of a situation that link together to criticize politicians or people in power that have presented stupid arguments, or sometimes to take the piss out of people that have posted shit online that they disagree with. Finally, in YouTube's 4 factors of fair use, they say that uses that harm the copyright owner's ability to profit are less likely to be fair use. However, courts sometimes make exceptions under factors involving parodies, and I'd argue that is also what Memeology's content is, and I'd argue a lot of these points that they highlight for fair use all fall in favor of Memeology's content existing. YouTube themselves even highlight videos that were taken down unfairly that they reinstated because they either criticize a commercial, a politician, or parody or criticize certain content. I'd argue all of this content is very similar in vein to what Memeology uploaded, and as such I'd argue their content probably also is defended in the same case. Furthermore, I also dug into a legal website that cites that fair use also protects content including news reporting, and I'd argue that is exactly what Memeology's content is, as normally it reports upon something someone said and criticizes them, and I'd argue that that is very much news reporting in the vein of what fair use would defend, and also all of this website is citing information from the actual copyright section 107. Finally, I looked into the government website for fair use, and they also say that fair use defends news reporting in section 107 of the Copyright Act. If, as the copyright law highlights, Memeology's content would be protected under fair use, I don't understand why YouTube would go against the reinstating of this content. However, for some reason on Twitter they have, despite the content being a clean-cut example of fair use, as I've seen the clip that Memeology links, and as it's been reported on by other news stations, and also Memeology was releasing a video critical of it, I'd argue it's fair use. Returning back to Memeology's Twitter, they also posted a follow-up to their previous tweet saying, well YouTube, the party likely responsible for this mess shows their face, finally. And Memeology shows an email they received from the United Republic of Detractors that says, hey Memeology, you deserve to lose your channel for lying and being a dishonest person. I'm still waiting for an apology from when you photoshopped the emails I sent you months ago. You wanna be... By the way, when I attacked your channel last year, I was hoping it would shut you down and you would go broke. I was also hoping the hospital would pull the plug on and then they say someone's name. If this screenshot is how it was presented, it would appear that Memeology's channel was falsely punished by another account that had seemingly abused the system to take them down in the past, and has also done the exact same thing again in hopes that they would go broke, and that they say they deserve to lose their channel for being a lying and dishonest person. That's not a justified reason to strike someone's channel down for copyright law. Abuse of copyright law is a crime, and abusing copyright law to get someone's channel taken down is completely unjustified. But with that being the case, it makes no sense that YouTube would not protect Memeology's channel in this situation and give them help with this issue before they lose it for no reason other than someone is abusing the system against them to try and get their channel taken down. Now, I don't know exactly if this email is real or if it's the case, but if it is, this seems ridiculously unfair that someone would abuse the system this way. Tipstar, a really nice guy by the way, who you should go support, tweets, I'm hearing that YouTube is refusing to reverse the copyright strikes against Memeology's channel, which will eventually lead to the termination of his channel. These strikes are verifiably false, and YouTube's decision to refuse to overturn them is appalling. Unbelievable. A-Star also chimes in, a news channel I work for is about to be terminated and nothing has been done to stop it. The channel is substantiated in the online news space on YouTube, and despite repeated attempts to receive direct aid, I've reached out to you in DMs and am promptly waiting a response. YouTube is notoriously difficult to get in contact with for urgent YouTube creator support, despite countless hardworking channels getting wrongfully punished by fixable automated errors. If you're seeing this YouTube, I urge you to correct this immediately, and I agree, this strike doesn't seem justified, and all of its reasoning seems absolutely outlandish. Under copyright law, Memeology's content should very clearly be protected, and under fair use law, Memeology's content should be very protected under YouTube's strict explanation. Furthermore, we can't forget the fact that it would appear that someone was already abusing the the system in the first place to take down Memeology's channel, and if this can happen with Memeology's channel, it could happen with basically anyone's. And the fact that YouTube is making no effort to help out a channel with 400,000 subscribers that is presenting an issue with the fact that their channel is about to be wrongfully deleted shows a lot to me, that YouTube isn't aware of their issues or that they're willfully ignorant of them because it doesn't affect their bottom line. YouTube should act upon this clear issue with their system and repair their automated systems that are doing this, because Memeology is not the first person that's experiencing this issue, and they will not be the last. There are many channels that come out about this all the time, and all they receive before losing their channel is a deadpan automated response from YouTube that shows absolutely no sympathy for them losing their fucking career. But with that being said, I think I'm going to top this video off here because I think I've said everything I need to about this situation. This strike doesn't seem justified to me, and unless I see further information that would prove it was valid, I don't believe that Memeology should lose their channel over this situation. If YouTube could reach out to me or Memeology and get them the help they need, that would be highly appreciated, as this strike does not seem warranted, nor do the other ones. And even if they were valid, one of them already expired. This seems ridiculous that YouTube hasn't acted upon this, and I hope they look into it further and actively consider correcting this issue and making sure that this shit doesn't happen again. I totally understand that mistakes happen, and I'm not blaming YouTube for having an automated system mess up every so often. I am blaming YouTube for actively not helping channels when they deal with the issues of the automated systems and actively defend the automated system's poor decision without looking into the actual problem in the first place. With that being said, I do appreciate you watching this video to the end. I do appreciate you supporting Memeology in the situation with the hashtag, and I would appreciate if you could check out some of my other content as I post videos every single day at 6 PM GMT, 1 PM EST. With that being said, please do consider subscribing to the channel as I'm aiming for 50k by the end of the year, and feel free to check out my Twitter if you'd like to see me talk about situations like this all the time. Finally, if you'd like to check out my Discord, I'm very active there. I only recently lost rank 1 of the most communicated person in the 2,000 member server, so if you'd like to have conversations with me or anyone else there, please do consider checking it out. That being said, I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow. With that being said, peace.
Says she wanna rock when it like me. I'm a stylish guy. Spend a little guap when it like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock when it like me.